The horror effect of it really is the last 30 minutes of the film, and it's just, oh my god, you're just there like, what is this thing? It's terrible. It's just Hello and welcome to another week of The Unemployed Actress. My name is Lobcke. I'm her is she, and she is me. Guys, we are back for another week of Unemployed Actress stories. This week, I've got a little bit of an update. I had a self-tape casting yesterday. So self-tapes are where they send you the brief and the script, but you film it at home, so you don't go into a casting room or to a casting agency to do it. You just do it at your house. So then I lift all of these pictures and move it out of the way, and then I do my audition at home. This casting was actually a whole lot of fun. It was a colored woman. She's from Cape Town, obviously. The script is sort of written in Cape colored Afrikaans vernacular. So that was really fun to try out. I sort of had to get my mouth used to that again, walk around the house and speak Afrikaans with a little bit of a twang. So that was really fun. And then I filmed it. She was really cool. She was really feisty. She's really, really spicy. She's got bite. She kind of reminded me of an aunt of mine a little bit, who's just really like cut you to the quick kind of thing. So so that was really cool. The storyline in itself reminds me a little bit of August Osage County. So that was really cool. That was a really cool script to read. So now we sort of see if that's something that I book. But it was a lot of fun to read for. She's feisty. She's feisty. So that was a really nice end to one week and start of another. And then that was the casting. So now we wait for some feedback on that. We are back with another question of the week. And this week it is: to the actors who stopped pursuing acting as a full-time career, why did you decide to stop, and how did it feel? Do you regret it, or are you glad you didn't keep going? Interesting for me, because again, I've spoken on this a lot of times. I've wanted to give up multiple times, and every time I think I can, I can't. And then I've spoken to some people who have, and a lot of that is for mental health reasons. They're sort of going, I couldn't take it anymore. It was just way too grueling on me, on my emotions, on my self-esteem, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So let's hear what the interweb says about why people stopped pursuing acting. All right. Someone said, I no longer wanted to work for and with shitty people, honestly. After one too many times of being verbally abused by directors, approached sexually by producers, or having my body objectified in all sorts of ways, I'd had enough. I'm happy doing work that I consider to be excellent with great people without worrying about trying to make a living out of it and needing to take what I could get to move forward in the industry. I have a full-time job in design now, and I still get to be creative every day, and I'm not worried about how I'm going to afford to eat. Unemployed actress says yes. So, very interesting about this is approach sexually by producers, right? There was the whole Me Too movement, and the film Bombshell then came out, and everybody spoke up, and the whole Weinstein scandal and the age-old debate about the casting couch. I can't say that I've had such extreme experiences, but I remember once I was at a casting party. My agency was having its end of the year event, and one of the guys that was there, he works for a production company, and we got to talking, and he was like, besides acting, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I write a little. I've got a whole bunch of scripts that sort of just live in my laptop that I haven't really done because I think my imagination is bigger than a budget that I could ever have, which is true. So, yeah. And he's like, oh, great. You know what? Give me your number and we should meet up. We should have lunch or dinner or whatever. And then we talk. We could work together because I do work for this production company. Here's my Instagram, this the company website, all of that. Have a look, and then we should chat. And I'm thinking, oh my god, this is amazing. Yes, this is why we do networking. This is why industry parties exist. And I took his number and I WhatsApped him like right there. Hey, it's me. And I got home and he's like, hey, it was really nice meeting you today. We should meet up and chat. As I said, I was like, yeah, totally. My work schedule is a bit funny, but let me know when and I'm there. And he's like, okay, great. And the next day, he was like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm good, thank you. Just normal chit chat, right? And I'm going with the chit chat because I'm like, we'll get to the business discussion in a moment. We just get the niceties out of the way. And he sort of asked me, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm making myself some lunch or something to eat, some along the lines of food, right? And he goes, oh, can I come over and try some? And I'm like, why? 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 And immediately I knew that like him exchanging numbers with me had nothing to do about future work and nothing to do about creating things together and all about the fact that he found me attractive and this is where the conversation was going. And I try to blow it off as you do. Ha ha ha, no. He's like, all right, well then let me take you out to dinner. Like, when are you free and we can grab something to eat? And I was like, yeah, to like talk about the work. And he's like, no, we'll schedule something else for that. Block that man immediately. Block that man immediately. Listen, I said, I'm not trying to find me a man. I, not in the industry. We've discussed this, right? I'm not trying to find me a man in the industry. I just thought we were going to work together, but turns out no. So there we are. So I'm quite reluctant to network with men. I know. We can have a bigger discussion about that because sometimes it just feels like it has too many shadiness in there. It's not about me or my talent or wanting to discover if I'm a good writer or anything like that. It's all because you find me pleasing to the eye. Yeah, no. Anyway, someone else said, I'm a mom in my 30s, wanted to act since childhood. I went for it as best I could, but I felt I needed to step back and just be human for a while. I have no regrets, but I do miss it, of course. Someone said, I miss many aspects of it, but as a whole, it was a right decision. I began to reevaluate it as a profession for me. I just wasn't in love with it anymore. Well, not as much as was necessary to continue it. I remember the interview with Peter Dinklage where he talks about sleeping on the couch and doing free theatre for years. If you don't have that kind of passion for it, you'll just flounder in mediocrity, which is what I thought I was doing. Hey, sleep on couches. No, I have a passion for acting. But I'm still trying to stay alive and do the necessary. I don't know that it's a hard fast if you're not struggling, you're not giving it your all, and therefore you should give it up. I think two things can be true. You can be employed in a normal 9 to 5 and still have an intense passion and hunger for being an actor. I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's sleep on a couch and do free acting work or live a normal life. There is an in between in there. I choose to believe that. There we are. That's what the interwebs are saying. People are, and again, I am not blind to the fact that I'm just stubbornly holding on to my acting dreams, and I'm not letting go anytime soon. But I do 100% understand people who do give up their acting dreams, who do, real life smacks you in the face sometimes. And running after a passion is just, it's exhausting. So I completely understand people who are just like, you know what, nope, I'm not gonna do it anymore. I need to pay bills. I want to start a family. I want to get married. I want a life beyond chasing castings and hoping for the best and sitting in audition rooms. I just don't want to do that anymore. And you could say, but you can do both. But that's not the case for everyone. Some jobs really demand that you are always there, and you can't always fit acting into that. And that is a sad reality, but it is true. So there we are. And because I did it last week, I'm going to do it this week. My abstract recommendation and the movie that I watched for the week is The Substance. If you don't know what that is, it's a film starring Demi Moore. It's quite new, actually. It premiered at Cannes. And it is a very big social commentary. It comes for ageism and beauty standards and being in the spotlight. So Demi Moore is basically Jane Fonda from the 80s. She's doing her workout videos. She's there dancing and just living her best life, right? She's been doing this for time. She is Elizabeth Sparkle. And on this particular day, it's her birthday as well. She's just finished filming an episode. She needs to go to the bathroom. The ladies' bathroom is closed, so she just hops into the men's quickly. She's in a cubicle when Dennis Quaid's character just comes in here. He's a sleazy, just gross-looking producer. They've got extreme close-ups on him, and they've made him look really greasy and sleazy and just ugh. But close up on him, he's talking about Demi Moore's character, about how she's old. He wants to replace her. He wants someone young, fun, new, perky. All of that he's done. He doesn't want Demi anymore. Get her out and start auditioning for her replacement immediately. He leaves the bathroom without knowing she's in the cubicle. She comes out. She's, of course, devastated, thinking, what the hell? She's driving down one of the fancy streets in California, and she looks up and there's a poster of her that someone's tearing down. And she's so distracted by someone tearing down the poster that a truck rams into her. She ends up going to hospital. Nothing's broken. She's fine. And one of the doctors makes a comment and says, you're a wonderful candidate. And he's sort of testing her spine. And he's like, you're a great candidate. And she's like, a candidate for what? And he's like, oh, no, never mind. And he brings her coat, her yellow coat. This is important. He brings her yellow coat. She leaves. In the pocket of the coat, she finds this note, probably the biggest USB stick I have ever seen. It's probably this large. And it says, The Substance. So now it must go in the TV so that she can watch and see what this is about. She goes home, does just that. And The Substance is basically this thing advertising that you take it and it sort of splits you into two people. The person you are right now and the ideal, younger, amazing version of you. And it's got rules, sort of like Gremlins. You're allowed to get wet, yeah, but sort of like Gremlins, right? There's a 7-day rule. You guys have to have a 7-day cycle. Basically, if you are out in the world, your double, if you will, your younger version, your clone, however you want to call her, she's sort of at home rebooting, and then after 7 days you come home, you reboot, and then it's her time in the world. And this is a 7-day switch you have to stick to. One of the things that they keep driving is that you are the same person. You are her and she is you. Do not forget that. Cool? Great. Demi Moore's like, I want to try this. She calls the number, get me this immediately. Cool. She goes and gets it. She has to pick it up at this dodgy place, and whatever. She gets the medication that she needs. And she goes home to do it. And it's this luminescent yellow glow in the dark liquid she's got to stick herself with. And of course, immediately you're like, don't do it. Look at the stuff. Are you mad? But then she has that moment in the mirror that we all have at some point, where we look at ourselves and all we see is flaws. We're looking at ourselves going, there's a wrinkle here, there's a pimple there, I'm getting old, it's just not working for me. The boobs aren't sitting where they used to, they need to be up here. And she's just like, all right, yeah, cool, this is my turn now. Stabs herself, and there we go. Kudos on the CGI, because Demi Moore is writhing on the floor. Suddenly her back rips open, this thing falls out of her back, and she's laying there with her back wide open, sort of just still twitching. And then we get this really cool POV shot of the thing that came out of her back. And it's dizzy until finally she looks in the mirror and we see Margaret Qualley, gorgeous Margaret Qualley, and you get this full body nude shot of hers, almost 360 shot of hers. Her boobs are where they need to be, her butt's where it needs to be, her skin is just smooth and gorgeous. She's young, she looks like a brand spanking new person. Cool. And because Margaret is technically Demi, she knows the play, she knows the story. She goes, she sews Demi's back up and leaves her in this bathroom, and then goes off to go audition to basically be her own replacement. When people see her, they like, she is gorgeous, we want her. Dennis Quaid sees her, he's even more gross, greasy looking. He loves her, he's gonna make her a star. She says, all right, my only exception is that every 7 days I go and I take care of my ailing mother. I'm gone for 7 days and then I'm back again. He's like, you know what, you're so gorgeous, we will do that for you. We're going to build this whole show around you, like it's wonderful and it's great. Cool. So 7 days pass, Margaret Qualley goes to sleep, and Demi Moore wakes up. And Demi Moore sort of goes out in the world, but she's like, she's old and invisible, and she's not enjoying her life at all, because she's no one now. And she goes home to just watch TV and eat. 7 days passes, now it's time for the switch. Margaret Qualley got the part. This huge poster of hers has gone up right across her apartment. Her apartment has floor to ceiling windows, and the poster of her is right there to see, and she's just in love with herself, because she's like, wow, I'm amazing. The world is my oyster. In terms of symbolism, there's this really cool thing that they do. She falls on this bed of like satin sheets, and it's all pink and sweet and girly, right? Because she's brand new, fresh out the womb, if you will. And then 7 days pass again, but she's enjoying herself so much, she just needs a little bit more time. So she steals about like 4 hours of Demi's time. When Demi eventually wakes up, like part of her sort of shrunken, her hand has started to age, and she's like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, it's because she stole time from me. And she calls the company to be like, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, your time got stolen. And she's like, no, I don't enjoy this. Like, she needs to stop. And they ask her, okay, do you want to stop? Do you want to put a stop to this whole process? Remember, it will go back to just being you. You won't be like back to factory settings. Where you are right now with this agey hand, that will be you, right? Just you by yourself, alone, all over again. And she thinks on herself, and she thinks on her life, and she's like, no, it's fine. We're going to go ahead with this. Eventually, as the film develops, of course, younger her is enjoying life just so much that she's got Demi just there, shriveling and dying, just extending her days all the time. And continuing to just enjoy being young and fun and perky and out there. And there's this beautiful scene where she sort of She's agreed to go on a date with a guy who knew her from high school, and she gets ready to leave. And she's standing. She's gotten dressed and she's got gloves on to cover the girl's hand, and she goes to the front room and she sees the poster of Margaret Qualley there, just gorgeous and young, and she's got this pink lip color on, and Demi goes back to the bathroom and she goes and changes her lip color, and it's like the longer she stares at herself, the more problems she's finding. And then she wants to change her hair, and then she wants to change her whole makeup. She's got blush on, and then she takes the blush off, and then she's the top is a low cut, and then she puts a scarf on because there's wrinkles that you can see and the time is ticking. And eventually she doesn't go on this date because she's so paralyzed by this comparison between herself and her younger self, basically, that she doesn't leave. And this becomes like her hermit journey. And then when Margaret Qualley's out there, she sort of just rebels and she just extends her time. She doesn't care about the 7 days anymore. She's just there. And once that switch is made, right, once she becomes sort of this villain, it's really cool. Again, it's the same shot of her falling onto this bed of silky sheets, but now the silk is black and she's in a black dress. And she goes out in this black cat suit with these knee-high Christian Louboutins, black ones. She's also out here. So then they give you this sort of visual representation of her turning from this sparkly pink good girl to this black wearing bad girl. But yeah, towards the end of the film, Demi and Margaret hate each other, and they keep calling the service line to be like, she's awful, and the service line keeps going, she's you, remember, she's you. And it's this battle between this two parts of the same whole. I will say the horror effect of it really is the last 30 minutes of the film, and it's just, oh my god, you're just there like, what is this thing? It's terrible. It's just ugh. But the film in itself, as I was watching, it reminded me of Lana Del Rey's Young and Beautiful, the song she made for the soundtrack of The Great Gatsby. And it's Will You Still Love Me When I'm No Longer Young and Beautiful? And my mind just kept recalling that song as I was watching it. And Lady Gaga's Fame Monster, and the whole discussion that's happening now around Ozempic and how it changes the way people look, and all the celebrities that's using it. And it's such a stark representation of the fact that people praise Demi Moore's character for being so beautiful and so amazing and everything. And then her decline was almost like she's not supposed to have gotten old. She's supposed to have stayed young and beautiful. And then those same people who were praising her looks are like now like, you're old, do something about it. And then she does something about it and they're praising her again, but at the same time it's like, so it's this endless circle of not wanting to get old, not wanting to not be pretty anymore, but also living for people's praise. And I think that's one thing that, like, I've always discussed this differentiation between wanting to act because you love the craft and wanting to do that because you want to be famous. Fame is a fickle friend. That Harry Potter quote. But yeah, it's a really good film. It's a really, really good film. The set design is really great. The use of color and its representation. There's this symbolism that they have with an egg. The film opens with one egg that gets injected with this serum, and it's sort of, the yolk sort of splits into two yolks, mutates to become a second yolk. And throughout the film, Demi Moore's character has a yellow coat that then Margaret Qualley also wears throughout the film. And then there's this really nice shot. It's an overhead shot where Margaret's laying down and Demi's laying down next. So almost like the Pisces fish. One's head is here and the other one's head is here. But then that sort of dissolves into a frying pan with two eggs in it, with one yolk is here and the other yolk is here. So it sort of keeps that egg analogy going. And when things start to fall apart, Demi's cooking in the kitchen and she's cracking a whole bunch of eggs into a bowl, and she turns on a blender and it just all gets mixed up and it's messy and it's ugly, and it's almost like this foreshadowing of how disastrous it's going to turn out. It's just a mess. It should have never been something that happened. So the substance. The substance, it's really good. It's really good. I mean, it's not making a commentary that we don't know. It's a discussion we've been having for decades when it comes to Hollywood and its beauty standards, and how different those beauty standards are all over the world, right? I was asking a friend of mine earlier, for white women, there's this innate fear of getting old, of preserving their youth, of looking young, where I don't know if black women have that same fear. And she's like, friend, no, they don't. Of course they don't. Black don't crack. Like, a black woman at 50 looks better than a white woman at 30. Like, what are you even asking? And I would actually really love to see the what a black film with the same premise of the substance would look like. Like what that overuse would be. It's not a hunt for youth. Would it be a colorism thing then? Would it be this obsession with getting lighter? What would that be? In the vein of this, I saw an episode earlier in this week of American Horror Stories. It's called Tapeworm, of African American model who goes, and basically the model scout tells her, "You're perfect, you're amazing, you've got star quality, but you're fat. Go fix it." And she also gets on this medicine meant for diabetics but helps non-diabetics get skinny. And she has a heart problem, so then that medication affects her heart, and the doctor says, "I can't give you this medication anymore." And she's like, "But I've got to be skinny." And he gives her this ancient tapeworm to ingest, and then it sort of just doesn't turn out well at all. Netflix, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities also has an episode about a woman who works in a bank, and everyone at the bank is just so beautiful, and they're using this lotion that's just making them young and gorgeous. And when she tries the lotion, it gives her an allergic reaction, but she sort of becomes hell-bent that the more she uses it, the more resistant her skin will become, and then it'll become beautiful. And of course, it's Guillermo del Toro, so it takes this little horror turn, and eventually it does do what she thought it would do, but it kind of comes at a cost. So, beauty standards, guys, and how important is it that we partake? How does that affect our psyche as a society? And that fallout, man. We preach a whole lot of self-love alongside, but you could always be better. And that is a dangerous pair. It should just be, you're fine the way you are. And you are. You are. But I don't think that social media helps that. I don't think it helps it at all to promote this body positivity. It's a very double-edged sword. In one way, you're sort of seeing people live their truth and live their lives and are like, "I'm just okay as I am, and you're not gonna body shame me. I'm just me." And in another way, there are but you could be better. You could be better. The amount of times I've seen the Better Me app ad on my phone, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And its name alone, Better Me. Hey. Anyway. So the movie to watch this week, or whenever you get a chance to put on your watch list, The Substance. its horror factor is maybe 5.5 out of 10, but only that little, because I wouldn't say it's a horror. I don't think that the horror is what they were going for. But yeah, it's really good. So watch that. Yeah, and in closing, because we've been talking about the substance and about beauty standards, it really got me thinking, because as a woman of color, one of the biggest ways in which I express myself and I get to play around with is my hair. I enjoy changing up my hair, putting in different hair, braids or whatever, and that's been a big factor in whether or not I get casted for things. I noticed. I mean, it's not like I didn't know before, but I noticed, right? The big curly hair that gets me casted. That gets me callbacks at least, right? This, not one callback, not at all. The braids even less. Not for colored and mixed race casting. They're looking for the big curls, and if they don't have that, then it just isn't. No, it doesn't sit right with them. And at some point, you sort of have to make the choice if you're going to do whatever you want to, or if you're just going to conform for a little bit until you get the roles and you get to be on TV, and then you get to do whatever you want to because now everybody knows your face. It's a lot of that, but and that's a conversation I have with myself a lot, right? Is if I'm going to change it so that I can get the work, knowing that what they're looking for is someone who looks like me, but my hair's got to conform. Or if I'm just going to be like, you know what, whatever, I do with my hair what I want, as I want, because that's the way in which I express myself. It's all a very, very interesting conversation into when we socially conform to the beauty standards required to make it in this industry, and when individuality is just something you've got to choose. And you've got to say, you know what, you might not like my hair, but I do. So it's a toss up. It's a toss up. This hair choice was literally because I wanted it, and I knew the impact it was going to have on my castings. I knew. The moment I did my hair, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna book anything with this hair. I can already feel it in my spirit. It's not gonna happen, not with this hair. But this is my hair for the summer, so I'm gonna do this. The curls will come back. They will. But again, it begs that question. Is that something that I then have to do in order to book roles? I have to have the curly hair going in order to book the colored girl roles. I went to go have a look at some of the colored women in the TV shows and telenovelas and soap operas that are flighting in South Africa. Curls. They've got the curls. They've got the curls. I don't know when those curls became synonymous with colored women, but that's their hair. And it's quite sad, because where is the room to be different? But that's a whole nother conversation, truly. But yeah, that is that. Guys, watch The Substance. It's really good. But it also invokes conversation, right? And this obsession with youth and with remaining beautiful and with remaining ageless. Like, it's so strange. But yeah. And is that something that's different? Is it something that's a different experience for black women and white women? Is it, as my friend said, black women don't worry about being ageless because they're just effortlessly ageless, which is true. So then what is our societal beauty standard? Is it to be light skinned? Is it to have the BBL shape? What is it? What? Yeah, let's chat. But that's that for this week. The substance, my curly hair, and the casting, I was just that. That's it from me, y'all. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for another week of The Unemployed Actress. I come back here every week just to tell you guys something. And if you haven't seen something, go watch it. But do that. Thanks for joining every week. Those of you who do, I appreciate you. Newbies, hi to you. Do what we always do. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you.